I want to go see those boys with their guns out on the Twyford truck, right? And the old saying, sex sells. Welcome to Cue the Mic. I'm Darren Worth.
And I'm the lovely Randy Twyford. Thank you.
And I'm Emma Derflinger, and this is episode 59.
Randy, got some strangers there in the background.
Yeah, we've got a couple honorary guests with us today. Matt and Collie. They work on our food truck. So they're here getting things ready this morning. I said, why don't you boys come in and be on the podcast and give your perspective of working on the food truck? So they're going to be in here for a little while and say they're on there from start to finish every day and from prep here. And so they got a different perspective than I do, I'm sure. So
wow, this will be interesting. Let's drill them with some questions. Will the microphone reach to them?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So first of all, you know, I've known Randy, and I don't care who answers the question, but I've known Randy for many years, but I've never worked for Randy. I've worked with Randy. Randy's put me to work.
Yeah.
What's it like working for Randy on a daily basis?
I mean, like me personally, I really enjoy working with Randy. Randy's a really good boss, and I mean, yeah, you can say it with what it is, but at the end of the day, like doing this over a normal college job, like I used to work at Papa John's, and that just wasn't great. So meeting somebody like Randy and having him as a boss, it's helped me a lot because I'm in business in school, and he kind of shows me like different ins and outs of like what running a small business is like, and that's really useful information to me.
All right, Matthew.
You know, whenever I started working here like 2 years ago, probably
about 2 years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years ago. So, I mean, whenever you first come on, you kind of like think of Randy as a boss, but as time goes on, you know, you guys kind of become more friends than the work employer relationship.
I would agree.
Type deal. So it's not like your typical, you know, I worked at Walgreens in high school. It's not like that at all. Like there's obviously a chain of command, but it's not as tedious as it is with those other.
Yeah, we've got
here.
Keep going.
Well, that's basically it.
Well, we've got a new addition, Colin. He was a little late getting here, but now he's our. Colin, explain all the you need to get in a little closer.
You forgot his sleeves.
Don't worry about it. The sun's out, the guns are out. That's his favorite saying. So, in a little bit more. What is it? Colin is the resident, not the resident, but the area football star. So, what are some of the accolades that you've got in football this year?
All of them.
all of them.
Every single one.
I was All-American. Broke like two or three school records. I had 31 touchdowns, 2,300 yards.
So, if I need stuff taken down from up above, you know, up tall or stuff, he's my man. So, and they were asking.
Right. So, Colin, how long's Colin been there?
About 3.5 years during the summer, and then during when he's not playing football. I mean, as an example, I'm not booking any food truck stuff till after the 1st of August. Pretty well, unless it's on the weekends and stuff. On some weekends, and Matt, he plays basketball, so he can help me. But both Collie and Colin, they're both football players, so they're out. So that makes a little bit of a challenge. But he's worked some during after fall season and stuff. So,
well, and I think part of Randy's success on the food truck is really those guns out, right? Because think about it, he rolls up to that hospital, right, and gets all those nurses out, and you want to go to the Mexican food truck, or I want to go see those boys with their guns out on the Twyford truck, right? The old saying, "Sex sells." I know, Randy. Back when he used to have the hot cashier get if you get Randy out of the cashier position, hell, you'd sell twice as much.
I know, and it's funny for me to I'll be running the register, and somebody will come up and they'll go, I'll take a Baconator loaded cheese fries, and you watch them, and no, it's Porkinator, excuse me. Hell, I don't know what we sell, and to watch their eyes, because they first look at me, place their order, and then all the time they're going, and then I catch them, and they're like, busted, so not that we'd know anything like that, so it's like, yeah.
Now, please tell me, guys, that you put more than 6 French fries on that order, like Randy does on social media. Every time I'm like, Randy, time I see social media on that, you put about 6 French fries in the box. No, you're supposed to fill the box full of French fries. Who cares if you put 6 French fries in when you serve it to them? But when you're marketing to them, you got to fill that box up and make them feel like they're getting a deal.
Well, that's what I'm doing on that, Darren, because they see the picture of it and they see that. And then when they get their order, they're like, holy shit, look at all the stuff I'm getting. And so they're really surprised and happy.
No.
Reverse psychology.
Not in the last video you sent us. Not in the last video you sent us.
Yeah. Yeah, that Sherry looked at that last video and said, I hope he's putting more than 6 French fries in the bottom of that sumbitch.
All right. Well, okay, boys.
6 of the biggest French fries.
Well, the project for today is to redo the fucking video for the Porkinator. And that son of a bitch will be mounted up, look like Mount Rushmore with fries.
It doesn't have to be mounded up. It just needs to, by the time you get done, just make it look like not a half a portion of anything.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
I mean, French fries are cheap. Nobody said you had to put a lot of bacon on it.
Oh, I didn't catch that memo. So, okay.
Yeah, French fries are the cheap part. The rest of the stuff are expensive. So if you put a lot of French fries, you don't have to put a lot of bacon or pork on that thing. Who cares? You just got to put a lot of French fries.
Well, that'll be one of our projects today. We'll shoot a new video for that and we'll get it broadcasted.
So you got all 4 of you on the truck today?
Well, I've got a catering that I'm going to be doing, and then these guys will be in the truck together, all 3. They all got here at 8.
It's Wednesday. Circle K Day?
Circle K Day. So had a few people already well, never mind, I won't get into it. But yeah, we're at the Circle K, and some people have a hard time figuring out what location we're going to be at of Circle K. We've only been at the same Circle K for the last 3.5 years, except for one day 2 weeks ago. And they still like, which Circle K? So, but we've got that information in our postings and stuff, but sometimes it's a little hard to see. So
you can't fix stupid. These guys look nervous in the background, Randy.
Really?
Calm, cool, and collected back here.
Yeah.
All right. Hit them with some more questions.
Calm, cool, and collected. Well, yeah, I want more questions. I want to know, what's the one thing that pisses Randy off when you do something wrong?
That's a good question.
What pisses Randy off more than anything? What makes him mad?
All right, go ahead.
Hand the microphone back, Randy.
Colin.
Will it reach? Well, I know why this made him mad, so I'm not going to say it was unjust, but we were dead at our new location in Jacksonville, and we had no stools on the truck. So I took a plop on the floor and then eventually laid down. And that
he was sleepy. He was fucking sleepy, and I came in the truck, and there he was laying, and I'm like,
"You want to fucking go home?
You want to go home? Well, what? Now tell me you wouldn't be upset if you walked in the restaurant and you're laying on the floor."
I didn't say it was unjust.
Yeah,
I didn't say it was unjust. I get it.
Well, you should have done a little better marketing so they could have been busy.
Never mind. Trust me, we tried it there, and that dog didn't hunt there. So
I know. I walk into mine and there's 15 5-gallon buckets. And Sherry, I'm fixing something on the truck the other day, and she goes, "Why is there so many 5-gallon buckets?" on here. I'm like, well, you never know when you got to haul water, honey. Oh, okay.
What was all the
They're fucking
buckets
sitting
for?
on the buckets.
Oh,
They're
sitting
sitting
on the
on
They're
them.
sitting on
buckets.
them.
Oh, I
Sitting
see.
on the buckets. We can't afford stools in our truck.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any you guys interested in being entrepreneurs? I got a food truck for sale.
That's
I'll
true.
check you up on that.
Oh yeah, one of the guys that used to work here. He's always going to sell something, but he never sold it, and he'll give it to him, and he's got an uncle that can sell it for you. So,
Emma, what's your questions?
I don't know. This kind of was thrown on us last minute, so I didn't come up with any. And I don't know
Last
Randy as well
minute?
as. I mean,
Here,
kind
hey,
of.
We've known it for days.
Matt's got another one
No,
that pisses me off. All right, Matt, what?
Well, I think more than anything, it makes you uneasy, but leaving on time.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we'll get to a place an hour and a half early, but and then people coming up asking for discounts.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
That's,
Darren also doesn't like discounts.
Oh, I'm not a discount guy.
why is the price?
Yeah, yeah. Why is it priced that way? If I had a guy a couple weeks ago try to convince me that he should get a discount because we came to the plant where he worked at, and we were going to make money there, and because we were making money there, we should give him a discount because he worked there.
Huh.
If that makes sense.
Okay. I mean,
Dumbass.
a little
Just
bit.
a dumbass. Just a dumbass. That's all he was.
People are interesting that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like me thinking this morning. You know, I was kind of thinking I was working on pricing for the new restaurant this morning, and I was working on pricing of a burger. And somebody, I happened to flip over to Instagram, and somebody was really excited about offering a $12 burger. And I just wanted to reply in the post and say, could you food cost that out for me?
Yeah.
You know, for your $12 burger, you know, because I understand you got to pay rent, and I understand that food is it's a big portion of that. And even if it's 40% of your cost, but they didn't have $1 in that burger.
No.
So please justify a $12 burger to me.
Speaking of pricing, that's what these guys are good to have to kind of sounding boards. You know, we'll be coming up with a new item or something, and it's like, okay, what do you guys think? Here's what we should price it at. Is that right, or is it too cheap, or is it too high, or it's never too high because I try to price it just the way we do everything else. But they're good to have around as a sounding board to kind of run stuff by, or take a look at this. Do you think this will sell? And they're on the truck every day, all day. They got a better handle on what they think will sell than what I think will sell because they're dealing with the customers.
As poor college kids, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah,
really
exactly.
poor working for you.
Yeah, that's exactly. That wasn't very nice.
But then again, I mean, they got their guns, so they probably go to them hospital, get all them nurses, and they probably get all kinds of tips.
I was just going to say the old tip, the old tip jar just gets
old tip jar
almost tips over.
It's all Colin.
It's all Colin, pretty boy.
So
who was it before Colin? Who was the pretty boy before Colin?
Logan,
yeah.
Oh.
Colin, you work with Logan too, right? You were at the Logan thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Randy's always been good for picking out the pretty boys.
Well, and that all goes from the football coach at Illinois College, because that's where all these guys go to Illinois College. Matt's and the basketball coach. That's our good resource. And I had somebody send me an email that used to work for me, and said that they had applied for a new job and that I would be getting some. They do extensive background checks and stuff. And the nice thing about getting students from these guys from Illinois College is that background check's already been done for me. Ray DeFrisco, the coach there at IC, he kind of goes through and say, hey, this guy's a good guy. This guy's a good guy. And on the other hand, these guys, once you get them hired, they're good because somebody will want a job and I'll go to them and then they'll say, well, I don't know. And I go, listen, you're going to be living in that friggin' truck all day with them. What do you think? No, you don't want to do it. So it's kind of nice.
Right.
They know everybody. So it's have them do the screening for me.
Well, and especially with the football and the basketball players, you guys are used to a regimen, right? You have a schedule, you're not late to practice, even though somebody was a little late today, but you're not late to looking around, but you know what happens when you're late to practice, right? But you've got a regimen and you're used to the work ethic and things like that, where normal kids just show up whenever I want to show up. And as a business owner, it's super, super important that truck is there early and ready to go and thing. And food truck, and everybody wants to have a food truck job, and a food truck job can be fun, but nobody ever said how hot it is in that sumbitch all summer long either. It's a hot sumbitch. It's not necessarily the most fun job in the world. You're confined in there. It's hot. Randy probably never even turns on the air conditioner. It wouldn't do any good anyway.
Air conditioners, if somebody came to me and said, okay, what do I need to put on a food truck? I'm going to get one built. If they said air conditioners, the only thing an air conditioner is good for is when you don't have it out, being able to keep it cool so all your appliances run efficiently and you don't max them out. Otherwise, waste of money, because as soon as you turn that exhaust fan on, the overhead exhaust fan on, it just sucks all that cold air out. Now, you got to take and figure out the ways that you take and like shut the back door so all the air comes through the windows, so you got that breeze going. So we're all pretty on top of that stuff to try to keep it as cool in there as we can.
Yeah, we got busted by the health department for not having the back door closed this weekend.
Really?
We got inspected at the last minute, and they got busted for not having the back door closed.
Huh?
So I'm like, well, you dumbasses, you should have known that. But
why did they say you had to have the back door closed?
Well, I mean, because you need a screened-in thing, right? So
you don't have a screen on your back door?
Closed.
You don't have a screen?
No, we have the screen. Oh,
yeah,
no, we got a screen
one
on the back door.
They just didn't have it closed.
They just had both of them open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just one of those dumbass moves.
Yep. We can all relate to that, including myself. So
right.
So anything else for the boys?
Emma, you're a little light on the questions.
I don't. You know Randy better than I do. I think the only thing I could think of was, is there like a saying that Randy says that you guys think just is absolutely absurd? Because he's got a couple that Darren and I make fun of him for.
I got a great one.
I just want to know if.
All right.
Okay, let's hear it.
Great one.
You pull the chips right out of the fryer, and Randy goes and eats it right away, and he says every time, "Ooh, that's a hot motherfucker." Every single time. Every time.
I think it's more of I'm being observant.
It's gonna be cold.
Yeah,
stating the obvious.
Yeah, no shit. So.
Oh God.
What other ones besides of a morning?
Yeah, or like he doesn't understand the difference between adversity and diversity. So it's just like one of those. Does it just like
they're the same. One relates to the other one. Adversity will give you diversity. Diversity will give you adversity. So it's the same friggin' thing,
Okay,
you just got to look at it. It's just your perspective. That's the way. That's all life is the way. And I preach this to the guys: is how you look at things, and that's how I look at it with adversity and diversity. They both can go together, or they can both be separate.
Wow.
I think
beautiful.
I think Emma, he should be giving speeches to a group of
Yeah.
women like you.
I agree.
I'm sure I'll be asked. I'm and I'd be glad to do it. So motivational is
Okay,
what it
Randy.
is. It's motivational.
I'm
It's
sure there's a
something.
place. Exactly. It's
So,
something.
so is there anything else you got
Yeah.
for the guys? Otherwise, they need to get their asses back to work so I can sit in here and talk
I don't know.
on the podcast.
No, pretty uneventful, pretty spur of the moment.
Yeah.
You know, we just
Yeah.
wanted. Is there any dirt you got on Randy? Anything? Any
Nope.
dirt we don't
No.
know about?
You're okay. You're not going to lose your jobs. You guys can tell us.
No,
Yeah.
what they really want to do is
Yeah.
come work with Darren. They're all after me to come. Let's go up to Iowa. Let's go up to Iowa because they know Darren
Guys,
has
I've
the
done
fucking
that.
dirt on me. We need to make
I've
a
done
field
that.
trip.
I don't know if you want to, but
Yeah, I'm not sure you guys can move fast enough.
Well, I was saying just have a field trip so they can see things, and then they're going to say, Randy, you go talk to so and so. We need to talk to Darren, so because they know that's where they can get the real good shit. Not that anything would. I've kind of told them some of the antics that go on at barbecue contests. So
Yeah, we used to. So you guys know. So Randy, we used to go once a year to this banquet, this barbecue banquet every year, and Grandpa Cheese, who I heard from last night, by the way, Randy, but
really,
Grandpa Cheese and Randy and I, and so we'd find ourselves going to Kansas City to this banquet and sitting at the bar and drinking, just the three of us, and we'd be sitting there every weekend. We'd go and we just hang out with each other all weekend long. And finally, we said, "What the hell are we doing this for?" And Randy's like, "Let's just come down to the Jacksonville and hang out at the farm." Okay, we'll do that. So we went down the first year and had a great time. Like, hey, let's make this an annual event. And then we showed up the second year, and it's like we'd walk in and Randy go, okay, yeah, hey, before we get this started, we got a catering for 150 we got to do. And so we'd help him do the catering. And then the next year we went down, and he's like, well, you know, we got a catering today for 150 and we got one for tomorrow for 200. Let's just knock it out and we can drink. So all we do, and then finally my wife, Sherry, she goes, nope, we are not going to Randy's on this weekend because all we do is go down and cater all weekend.
Well, fellas got to
So we
make a
quit
living.
going.
Fellas got to get by. Yeah, that's right. That's one of the things I think these guys enjoy the most about working for me is the fact that I keep them all up to speed of what's going on and stuff. It's kind of like they come in of a morning, and we'll kind of like, okay, what's going on today, and then I'll whip on some of the new stuff that I've booked overnight. Oh, we got that one lunch we got to get out tomorrow afternoon at 2:00, and they're like, what the fuck, you know? So speaking of,
and that's good because, you know, when we used to be a small company and there was only 7 people in our company, everybody knew what everybody was doing.
Yeah.
And communication was super easy. And putting new products out and stuff, super easy. And when you get 100 employees, everything is super hard. You know, communication super hard, everything's super hard. So staying small is super easy. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to communicate because the bigger you get, the harder that becomes.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to let these guys go. So appreciate you guys coming in and being a part of our up and coming podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Now go out and make some money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Randy can help sponsor this show.
Yeah, that's right.
Now what are we going to talk about?
Oh,
So
I don't know.
those guys, probably one of the best crew of guys I've got that I've had working for me. All the guys from Illinois College are good. I mean, they a lot of what you said, Darren, is they know they like a regiment. They're used to like they do in it at practice and stuff. You show them once. The nice part of it is these guys, you show them once and they've got it figured out, you know. And
you get that relationship of one goes down and, hey, coach, you know, you find the other one. And so that relationship and having that pipeline continually year after year after year of being able to pick out of knowing guys that need a job,
right,
and that they know will work hard, right? Let the coach decipher that. Let him be the interview process.
exactly.
So you've been doing that for Christ, how many years?
Probably 5-6 years or better. Probably more than that. And what I'll do is, like, when we get into August, unfortunately, we have to shut the food truck down or partially shut it down, except, when I can get the Lawless girls to help me on the weekends and stuff like that. But Matt now, he'll be here, so he'll be able to help me some through till the 1st of September, because he'll be, and not practice or anything. So, but I'll start getting with the baseball coach and the basketball coach and say, hey, have you got anybody looking for some work? I need some guys. And if they send them to me, they're good. And the nice thing about it, and I've never had to do this, but Ray from the football coach, he always says, if somebody's not working out, let me know. He says, I'll take care of it. So.
Yeah.
That's
and at the
nice.
same time, we do a lot of stuff for Illinois College also. So we're a varsity. We're the main sponsor of the varsity club, which we do meals for a lot of the games and stuff and so it's a give and take relationship we have with IC, and I'll be the first to admit we're pretty lucky to have it. So.
Well, and just think of everybody out there, all these listeners. Everybody has that. There's a community college, there's a state college in a lot of towns, and people may overlook that, and so just maybe worth a look. If you're looking for help, maybe you need to look towards the athletic department of certain things. And you're lucky. I mean, you're very lucky to be able to have that pipeline, if you will.
Well, and just like Collie, now Collie's from down in Alabama. And then Matt, the other kid, he's from Sedalia, Missouri. Now, Colin, he lives here in Jacksonville. But both of those guys, if they went home, we talked about it this winter. They were like, if I go home, I'm going to have to get a job at a burger joint, or, last year, Matt went back to Sedalia and he worked in a deli. And he hated it. He said, every day I went to work, I hated it. Every day I left, I hated it even more. And just because of the environment and the people he had to work with and this and that. And it's nice to be able to, so they sat down and they're like, okay, if we stay up here this summer, how many hours are we going to get? I never guarantee anybody a certain amount of hours, because I just don't feel comfortable, because you know how erratic the business can be. It gets busy and that, but I said, there's more weeks than not you're going to have overtime. And just like Matt, he went with me yesterday. He said, and I hadn't figured it up, but this week, if he works all the hours he's supposed to work, which he will, he'll have 55 hours in this week.
Yep.
So, and I don't mind paying him overtime, because I know I'm getting every dime that I need from them,
Yeah, I looked at our stats from last week. It was crazy. We had 225 hours of overtime last week.
Right.
Holy!
It was crazy. But then I looked at the most important stat of all. My labor ran 15%.
There you go.
Which was even crazier. So it's not about one segment. It's about pushing productivity through and being able to push 15% on that many dollars. That's a recipe to print money.
Well, and shrink it down to our size, as small as we are. I know I looked at our schedule, and here's Matt. Matt and Collie are going to be working the same hours all week. And Colin, he doesn't work sometimes of an evening, but we've got Friday and Saturday, or Thursday and Friday night, we've got events going of an evening now. So we'll do a lunch, do a vending at lunch, and then go do an evening. What?
You just said of an evening so many times. I just think it's so funny.
Well, it is of an evening. So anyway,
Okay.
I looked after putting those numbers in there and even figuring the labor. I think our labor for this week should run budgeted out about 19%. So,
Yeah. Keep her south of 25, man. Keep her south of 25. Everything is good.
yeah, and you know, you don't have to get somebody in and train them and deal with all that. And these guys, when they get done, they'll go play golf of an evening after work. They'll go out drinking.
Hey, that's what I'm doing after work.
Oh my!
What? I went golfing yesterday.
Oh, you're going
yesterday.
golfing, not drinking.
I'm working in
maybe.
Florida. I'm working in Florida, working on stuff, and I mean, I've been working. I mean, I've been like 5:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night. I've been like working.
Good for you.
And yeah, except for yesterday, I said, you know what? It was about 2 o'clock, and I said, I'm just gonna go float in the pool for about an hour and take a nap.
Right.
So I go out and I'm just floating in a pool and I'm taking a nap in the pool, and I left my phone inside, and I was out there probably for an hour and a half, right? And Sherry's like, I'm going to go next door to the neighbors to happy hour. And I'm like, okay, I'll take a shower and meet you. And I came back in, and what a shit show. You talk about, it was 5:30 before I got off the phone, before I even got a chance to go to you. It was like, that was the worst hour and a half mistake I ever made in my life. You know, because it was like everything wanted to happen. Somebody needed something. Everybody, it was like, oh, I need this now. I need this now. So
sure.
It was kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. So Emma, back to those. We started last episode talking about pricing and stuff, and there was some of those questions about some other questions about retherming and whatever. Can we get back to some of that?
We can. Give me a second to pull it up, will you? Here we go. Yeah, so we did get quite a few questions about, cooking and all that, retherm, all the good stuff. So we could just start off with the first one I have, if you guys want. And it is, do you let the meat rest at all before you vacuum it? Before you vacuum seal it?
So we actually let the meat rest out of the smoker, and then we cool it. We actually cool it before. So we're lucky. We have a blast chiller. So we have this big blast chiller. We can fit 2 full speed racks. So we can probably fit, I don't know, 500-600 pounds of meat, and we can get it cooled, down to 40 degrees in about less than an hour and 15 minutes maybe, just on sheet trays. So we actually cool the meat down. We cool it all down before we vacuum seal it in our operation.
And we're the same way. A lot of times I'll take ours and I'll put it in the freezer. It's not too good on the not that good on the freezer because it kind of runs the temp up. But I'll put it in the freezer maybe an hour and a half, and then I'll put it in the cooler and let it cool. Now, we don't have the advantage of having a blast chiller. So when for us to package stuff, I pretty well plan on it doing it the next day.
Yeah.
Let it get.
So I think that answers even another question that we had.
And I'm prepping out coolers right now for the breakfast restaurant. And one of the things that you can do when you do coolers is you can, if you're putting in a walk-in cooler into an operation, you can always go bigger on a walk-in cooler for its size. So you can oversize the fans and you can oversize the cooling on that box to create somewhat of a blast chiller. Now, in the most simplest thing, you could take it and put it in a bag and put it in an ice bath and get it down. If you're only dealing with 5 pounds here and 5 pounds here, I would suggest that, hey, get an ice bath and cool it down. The biggest thing you can do is don't throw in this 4-inch deep pan stuff and expect to get it cooled down, because I mean, you still, health departments, you need to get that down below. Randy, you'll know the answer, but I think you got to get it below a certain degree after 2 hours, and you got to get it below 40 after 4.
Is it something like
it's
65
No,
and then on down?
no, I thought it was higher than that. I think it's, and we should know the answer to that, but
The thing,
it's higher than that. But it's got to get down below a certain temperature. I thought it was 120 after 2, and
you might be right.
120
That
after
sounds
2,
right.
and 40 after. But you got to get it down within 4 hours. You need to be able to get that down. So that's tough if you're piling up. So we utilize a lot of sheet pans,
That's what I was just
full
gonna
size
say.
bakery trays, and
I was
you
just gonna
spread
say
that
that.
out as much as you can, because then that pan gets cold too, and you spread it out. And even in a walk-in cooler, as long as you're not stacking too many of those, you can get that cooled down pretty quickly
Yeah.
and effectively.
That's what I was going to say. We do the same thing, use sheet pans. And when we're doing pork, we'll do 6 pork butts to a sheet pan, because we use one of those Roman pork pullers that you put on a drill. That's how we pull our pork. And we'll do 3 butts to a bucket, pull it, then another
So
3.
you do 6. Wow. See, we only do 3, because we're trying to hit about 15 pounds per tray.
Okay.
And spread that out. So we're only about an inch thick on that tray when we're going to
Yeah, I'm a little
mode.
thicker. Yeah, I'll do 6 butts to a tray, and then they'll get right down.
We can't lift that much. That's a workman's comp claim waiting to happen.
So isn't pulling pork with one of those pork pullers bent over, like you're mixing drywall mud. So guess who does that?
Oh, good Lord. So then another question, for like the vacuum sealing, is, do you wrap the meat in plastic wrap before you vacuum seal it?
No.
I didn't think so.
The only thing we do is we roll down the end of the bag. And the reason you roll down the end of the bag is so that you don't get the bag greasy at the top. So where the bag seals, you don't want it greasy, because then you don't get a good seal. So we roll down the end of the bag, put it in the vacuum sealer, roll her down, and so you got a nice clean bag where you're sealing. And then when we put it in the sealer, you don't want to seal a bowling ball. So we press it down so it's very flat, as flat as we can get it, so that when you're retherming that, then you're retherming it. It's very consistent. So you don't want part of it to be an inch thick and part of it to be 3 inches thick. So when it retherms, then your inch thick is going to be heated up before that. So try and make it as consistent as you can throughout that pack.
One thing,
Randy, do you have
speaking
anything
of
else?
vacuum pack, on vacuum sealers, depending on if you're just doing this for your home stuff, for backyard home stuff, or if you're doing it commercially like Darren and I do and stuff, spend the money and get a good vacuum sealer, because if you're doing very much vacuum packing, you're going to go through the ones you get at Sam's Club and stuff like that. The cheaper ones, they're going to be more expensive because you're going to burn them up. Wouldn't you agree, Darren?
Yeah, and the ones that suck in and suck all the stuff in, get a chamber one that just evacuates all the oxygen from the chamber. That's the only way to go. And they are somewhat expensive. You can find some cheaper models, but definitely want one that's going to suck the vacuum out of the chamber. Definitely a chamber sealer. I've got we use some Minpack is what we use at work. It's a German machine, a Minpack MVS 31, and it's probably a $5,000 machine. But then at home, I use a VacMaster, but it's a floor model one, but it's only like a $1,500. But you can buy $500, $600, $700 models. Well worth it from the seal.
Spend your money up front on it.
Otherwise, you're gonna spend $100 food savers. You're gonna buy 10 of them a year.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think moving on to like the retherm process. Can you kind of give us like what that process is at the restaurant and on the food truck and stuff?
Well, from a
What does that
retherm
process look like?
from a catering standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm retherming a portion, I'm just throwing a portion bag in a microwave or whatever. If I'm retherming from a catering standpoint, we're actually we take and wrap that bag in foil and either go to a 250 degree oven or a 250 degree smoker or a 250 degree whatever.
Okay.
And heat it up, and it doesn't matter. But our rule on a 5-pound package is 250 degrees at 2.5 hours takes it above 165, and that's your ultimate goal is getting it above 165. And that's pretty much universal. We've done that, and the reason we've found the 250 is because if we put a full pan of beans in a smoker at 250 degrees, 2.5 hours. So everything that we do, we want our beans, our potatoes, our mac and cheese, a full-size pan. We want it to be done in 2.5 hours too. So when I put the package of meat in and I put the beans in right next to it, I want it all to be done at the same time. So when I put it in, it all comes out. It all goes in at the same time. It all comes out at the same time. That way I'm not setting 2 timers and not forgetting to put something in or forgetting to take something out. So it's all based upon that. Now, can you speed it up? If I'm catering in the middle of the night, what's nice about it is if I've got a catering at 2:00 in the morning and I don't want to be there 2.5 hours early, then I'll take that 5-pound package, throw it in the microwave, and I'll run it for like 10 or 12 minutes and just flip it, turn it over and then I'll put the side dishes on the stove top if I'm doing mac and cheese, and I'll just be over there stirring them on the stove top, heating them up, and I can pretty much in 20 minutes be out the door with a 50-person catering.
Yeah.
Or if I'm doing potato casserole or something like that, I can spread it very thin across a whole sheet pan, put it in a 350 degree oven, heat that up, put it into the pan, put a little pre-toasted breadcrumb over the top of it or panko over the top of it, and I have same or better quality than I would if I did it for 2.5 hours. So there's just find what works for you. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as we always say. And so just find what works and what's consistent. And, that's why our ability to retherm, the biggest thing, and we may have said this before, is if you walk into my restaurant this morning at 9:00 and say, hey, I need to feed 100 people, I've got an emergency, we can do that. We can
Same
do that.
here.
We can do that in about 25 or 30 minutes for you. All hands on deck, we can have you out the door. And that's happened multiple times, whether we forgot something and a catering got put in for the wrong date, or whether it was somebody that just, hey, my caterer just shit on me. What do I do? Don't worry. Give us 25, 30 minutes here. We'll get it handled. And, you don't have to, whether it's a microwave or whether you're spreading meat out on a sheet tray and covering it with foil and throwing it in a convection oven, whatever it is, there's just a lot of ways to get stuff done quick. And if you were cooking fresh to order, yeah, you'd get that done, but then you'd have to close your business, right? Because there's no way you could do that. So by running a retherm process and by running a cook cool and carrying that extra inventory, first, you're consistent, but second of all, you have the ability to sell more. You don't miss out on that. You go to, I always say these Texas barbecue joints. You go into the Texas barbecue joints. If you walked in the morning and say, hey, I need food for 100 people, they'd laugh at you and say, hey, I need 2-3 days notice, right? I don't need 2-3 days notice. I don't even need an hour's notice. Now, yeah, ultimately you want it to fit through the process. I mean, I would say 50% of our catering coming through the door booked at noon or after the day before. Right?
Really?
I mean, we do a lot of same day, and that's our niche in the market. So, when the boss says, hey, I want to feed everybody tomorrow, it's last minute. Everybody else has a 24 or 48 hour catering notice. Well, we don't. And so it's either eat pizza or Chick-fil-A or us.
Yeah.
And so we just make it happen.
for us on the retherming on the truck, we've got on our worksheets that we have of how much food we're going to need, that I'm estimating we're going to need for each day. Just like this morning, I knew we were going to need 6. It'll be a busier day today. We'll need 6 5-pound bags or 30 pounds of pork. So I put that on the oven in the barbecue pit with my beans, just as Darren was saying, at 250. And the boys are pulling that off, and then we'll put that on sheet pans, still in the bag, and put it in the warming of the warmer on the food truck. But at the same time, we've got cold meat also on the truck, and so if we start getting low, we'll start microwaving some of the bag or so later on in the day to get because I'd like to say we never, because Dad always said never say never, because that's a long time, but we usually never run out of proteins on our food truck.
Well, yeah, you
Just
can't sell it if you run out.
Yeah,
Right.
because typically we have it already. We've got the heated stuff that we know we're going to use, and we've got in the warmers, but then we also got the cold stuff in the refrigerator that if we need it, we can nuke it and towards the end of the day.
Right.
One thing we do, since we're on a little smaller scale than you, Darren, we do the 5s, but we'll also do 2-pound packages of pork, of the meats. And we'll use those 2 pounds in the truck later in the day. And say we're going to be there tonight till 6 o'clock. If we start running out of pork, say at 5 o'clock, instead of heating up a 5-pound bag and having that not use it all up, we'll just do 2-pound bags. And that way we don't have as much stuff we have to deal with reheating it again or whatever.
Yep. And if
we sell a lot of
use it, then guess what gets used tomorrow.
And we sell a lot of 2-pound bags of our meats also to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell the health department that, Randy.
I know.
No, he doesn't do that.
No, not on most
He
days.
doesn't do that.
No.
So speaking of the health department, one of these questions is how many days at most do you hold on to cooled proteins before using, both in practice and for health and safety?
Well, so from a health and safety standpoint, you really have 7 days. Okay, so the health department says now uncryovac'd, you have 7 days. So you have 7 days. Now, I'll be first to tell you, you do not want 7 days. I don't want any more than 2 days. Can you flip to 3 days? Yes, you can flip to 3 days. But ultimately, I don't want to go any more than 3 days. Now, our health department really frowns on the cryovac, anything over 48 hours. So we found something in the health code that they wanted us to write this whole HACCP plan, and I read the health code and said that all these pathogens really don't grow until 48 hours. So I said, well, that's fine. Everything we do for today, like in our operation, we cook every meat every day. So everything is based upon an inventory level, right? So if we got a little bit of pork left over today, then we add that to our par level. What else do we need to cook? Here's what's coming in. It's just a big game we play. But we got 48 hours. So all our catering that comes in today for tomorrow gets cryovac this afternoon, gets heated up tomorrow. And so our deal with everything has to get date and time stamped. So anything that would last over 48 hours would have to get thrown out. It never makes 48 hours because it just goes out. I mean, we're always a next day process. Now I know Randy's process is totally different, and it's really dependent on what your health department says. I mean, to me, you could cryovac stuff and put it in your refrigerator for 7 days and still be fine if your health department said it was fine, right? Not mine's going to say it's not fine. Mine's going to be very strict on 48 hours cryovac, 7 days on non-cryovac.
Well, and we put together a HACCP plan and work with our health department on it, so we're able to hold our stuff a little bit longer than that. But when it starts getting close to that 5 to 6 days, it's like make sure we're rotating stuff out and that.
Interesting. Let's see what else we got. Well, and I guess you kind of answered that, but this question is: are there any specific details worth sharing for communicating the process to the health inspectors? Which I feel like you kind of just hit, but D-Dub.
Yeah,
you just kind of talk it through.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to me, that's the most important thing when you're dealing with a health inspector.
I agree.
Is one, when they walk in the door, talk to them more than they talk to you. You don't actually ask them questions. If I'm there when the health inspector comes through, I guarantee I'm asking them more questions than they're asking me. You know, I'm saying, hey, does this look good? Hey, is this? Hey, am I doing this right? Hey, am I just act genuinely interested? Don't act scared. Don't act like, oh my God, they're just people too. They're just here to do a job. But
don't treat them like the enemy.
That's right. But if you generally act like that you want things to be right in your operation,
and you do,
then they're fine because you do, right? If you're trying to hide something from them, trust me, they're going to catch you. Now, there was always the rule that, you know, people said you always want to find something. So if the health department car shows up, first go to your paper towel dispenser and take all the towels out and throw them away. Right? Because if they're going to find something wrong, you want them to find, because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to walk in and they're going to wash their hands. They're going to make sure they're going to make sure you got hot water. They're going to make sure you got soap, and they're going to want to make sure you got towels. Right? That's the first thing every health department does every single time.
Huh. Interesting. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and
that's really
strips.
it.
The test strips that nobody uses, but make sure you got them out. Right? And make sure when you get the new thing of test strips, because nobody uses the damn things, but when you get the new thing of test strips, just take half of them and throw them away to make it look like you used them.
Exactly.
I don't feel like you should be. Or you should use the test strips if you're supposed to. I don't feel like we should be condoning bad behaviors.
This is a realistic podcast, Emma. This is a real world podcast, right?
Okay.
This isn't how to do it right. This is how the real world does it.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
And my health inspector probably listens to it. And, you know, the great thing about my health inspector is half the time he calls before he's coming, because we have such a great relationship.
Right.
Right? And when he calls before he coming, you know what I do? I don't tell a single person. I respond back and say, let me know if you find anything wrong. Right? I don't tell a single person the health inspector's coming, because I want them to be right. Yeah. And he knows that.
Every day.
That's good.
Every day.
That's good.
Every day.
Well, that was really it for questions. A lot of them you ended up answering with your other answers, so yeah. I only had about 10, and you hit pretty much all of them, so.
Good.
Well, actually, you did hit all of them. So way to go, guys.
I felt like we were a little educational this time. I felt like sometimes we just get on here and we jibber jabber, and we're not educational enough, even though I do talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people listen, and they say they learn something every single time. So
yeah.
I had a guy, on a side note, menu items. One of our listeners sent me a video of a new menu item. They take a large baked potato, put some jalapenos in it, and then fill it with cornmeal. And it's a cornmeal baked potato.
Fill it full of cornmeal?
Well, like you'd make corn muffins out of and stuff. Corn muffin batter. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. If you were to make a corn muffin.
Like cornbread, right?
Like cornbread. Or if you're going to make cornbread.
Okay, so he takes a baked potato and hollows it out.
Opens it up. Don't really hollow it out. And then takes and puts some jalapenos in there.
Okay.
And then puts the corn muffin mix in there and then bakes it.
Inside.
Yeah, inside.
And then bakes it.
Almost like it's a twice baked potato, but with the twice baked is cornbread mix.
Exactly. And jalapenos.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting.
You gonna try it?
Makes a big potato.
I tell you what, we sell the crap out of potatoes. We sell a 1 pound barbecue baked potato.
Oh God, it's so big,
And
but it's so
we sell
good.
a 1 pound. We sell a 1 pounder, and we sell minimum 30 a day, up to 50, 60 a day.
It's
Yeah.
like the ultimate
And
comfort food.
And I tell you, we take, and so on our baked potato, we have a little scoop, and we take our garlic butter. So we use garlic pepper and butter to do our garlic bread, but we take 2 scoops of garlic butter and put that in the bottom of that tater, and then we smother the tater in queso, and then we add whatever meat, and then we put cheese and bacon, and then we get sour cream and chives and whatever, sour cream and green onions and bacon and whatever on the top of it, and we just sell the crap. I don't know how people eat it. I just don't know how people eat it.
I can't eat the whole thing, but it's so good.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
People have, I mean, look at Wendy's. I don't know. Does Wendy's still do baked potatoes?
I don't know. I don't eat at chain restaurants, so you're going to have to tell me.
Well, same here.
No.
Same here. But that used to be a big seller there. I mean,
just not frequently.
Huh?
I feel like both of you do, but just not frequently.
Yeah, well, I can't say I never do.
Yeah.
But I try not to.
I just saw an article. I didn't get a chance to read it, but I just saw an article that was titled "Fast food is now a luxury because of prices."
I saw a thing on Fox News the other day about that too.
Yeah.
They were saying
people are treating fast food as a luxury.
Yes.
But there's two.
I was always raised that fast food was kind of a luxury.
Yeah. So I'm seeing that. I'm seeing 2 different trends. I'm seeing a trend that says that. I'm seeing a trend that says if I receive my food when I order it, or if I receive my food when I pay for it, or if I pay for my food before I receive it, I'm not tipping. Right? As a trend too.
Why?
I don't know.
I guess
and I disagree.
I could see why some people
with that trend.
I guess I could see it, because you don't know what kind of service you're gonna get, so
right
and whatnot. But I also am one of those people that I think you should always tip. Maybe it's not always going to be the full 20%.
So speaking of tipping, so last night, Sherry and I are on this eating healthy kick, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't know what to have for dinner, and I said let's just go out to eat. So we went to the local oyster bar down the street.
Sure.
And I said I'm just gonna get a nice grilled fish and some steamed broccoli.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's just like my ultimate. I just love that meal. Okay. Right. I love broccoli and she's like, oh, we don't have steamed broccoli, but we have a garlic broccoli that has sauteed in butter. I'm like, okay, it's fine. So they brought out this nice black grouper, but it comes with these layered Parmesan potatoes. And I'm like, can I just get double broccoli? Right? Because I can't eat with the dairy thing, I can't eat the potatoes. And she goes, oh, not a problem at all. So here comes my meal out with the potatoes on there. And she goes, hey, can I get you anything else? I'm like, yeah, I kind of ordered double broccoli because I can't have the potatoes. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Can I just leave this here and I'll get you more broccoli? And I'm like, yeah, fine, dandy. So I start eating, and this garlic broccoli with a sauteed in butter was like amazingly good. It was like broccolini.
Yeah.
It was like really good. And I'm like, I really don't want these calories, but I had the calories to give. So I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy the shit out of this.
Sure.
And I had a nice, like 6-ounce black grouper filet. that was
Mhm.
black,
Sounds
and
good.
it was just absolutely divine. And so the gal comes back, and she's like, "Okay, well, that broccoli will be out in just a minute." I'm like, "Okay, not a problem. Still eating whatever." So I'm kind of eating slower, just trying to wait for, I've eaten all my
Yeah.
broccoli. I'm kind of saving some fish, waiting. Pretty soon I'm like, well, this broccoli's not coming. So I just go ahead and eat the rest of the fish. And here's my water glass or my iced tea glass. And she's not even thinking, and we're sitting at the bar, right?
Mm.
And there's only 10 people at the bar, and this is the bartender. And I'm like, just not paying any attention, maybe because
Right.
I'm not drinking, but I'm just having an iced tea.
Yeah.
But it comes up, and pretty soon, she's not going to film. Finally, I grab somebody else and go, "Can I have some tea? Because I really need some tea." And somebody else gets me some tea, and pretty soon the gal comes out and goes, "Well, can I get you anything else?" And I'm like, "No, just my check." And so we give her the check, and I'm sitting there going, "Okay, what do I tip her?" And of course, I tip her 20%. Shouldn't have tipped her 20%,
Right.
but I tipped her 20%, right?
Uh-huh.
Because if the service would have been good, it would have been 30 or 40%, but I tipped her 20%. That's my way of penalizing her.
Yeah.
Is tipping her 20%. So I pay my bill. I'm getting ready to walk out door, and here she comes with my plate of broccoli.
Jeez.
And she goes, "Do you still want this, or should I put it in a to-go container?" "No, honey, I'm fine. I'm fine." I mean, it was like, this was now 30 minutes later. I mean,
Holy shit.
Huh.
and I'm just like, just so disgusted. It's like, if somebody makes a mistake, and she didn't make a mistake herself. The ticket said,
Yeah.
"No potatoes, double broccoli" on the ticket. I read it on the
Right.
ticket.
Yeah.
The kitchen made the
Right.
mistake, but if you do it, hey, drop whatever you're doing and get me this. It probably took 2 minutes to make that broccoli. It was just sauteed, just real quick
Right.
sauteed.
Right. Right.
It took 2 minutes to make that dish. Drop whatever
mean,
you're doing and do it.
Yeah. At every restaurant I've worked at, that's just the rule of thumb. If you mess up a ticket, that ticket becomes a priority, which is interesting.
But I'm telling you, for even with including the butter,
Yeah.
for like 450 calories, that's like the best meal ever.
Yeah.
I bet it was.
It's probably a luxury
Just a
nowadays.
piece
I remember
of
those
grilled
days.
fish with brow. Oh,
I remember those days
so
when I got to have something just a
so
little
good.
bit different than a chicken breast with a sweet potato. But
Yeah, so good. So
Anyway.
good.
well,
Okay.
we did it, guys. It's about an hour.
Yep.
About an
Yeah.
hour. We made
Yeah, we did.
ourselves through it with special guests, and
Yeah, I think
Special
it'll be a
guest,
little
which I
episode.
just saw they
people
left.
learn something. Hopefully,
Good.
They just left. So
they just
That's
left.
good.
And Randy's got to go catering, and Darren's got to go back to work. The phone's been blowing up ever since we got on this thing. Remodel
All right.
questions. They're blowing up the remodel phone today. So
Oh boy.
Love that.
Yep.
Well,
Love
with
that.
that being said, are we
All
done?
right. Yeah.
I think
if
we're
you guys haven't
I think
already,
we're done.
Yeah. If you guys haven't already, follow us on social media at Cue the Mic Pod or find us on YouTube at Cue the Mic Podcast. Randy, take it away.
Or phone a friend.
Phone a friend. Boom. We're done. Finished. Out of here. Gone. Done.
Boom. We're out.
Boom.
We're gone.
Okay. We'll see you guys next week.
Adios, amigos.